Real quick before we get into all the theories of the upcoming season of Wakfu, if anyone hasn't watched the show or the whole show yet, I very highly recommend finishing it before watching this, as it has a lot of spoilers. Okay then, on to the theories. In 2017, or early 2018 in America, Netflix and Ankama put out the third season of Wakfu. Instead of following its traditional Pokemon style, as I call it, where they have an overall goal but are mostly just doing small side quests throughout the series, the season was spent climbing and battling Oropo's tower to rescue Evangeline and her son Flippon. The style was a bit more continuous as each episode led into the next. Seeing as the next season will only have 15 episodes, I assume that it'll have the same plot flow. The third season ended with the Brotherhood of the Tofu and all the demigods stuck in Inglorium. It kind of looked as if the adventure might end there, but as we've seen from Ankama, that is not the case. The next season picks up right in Inglorium where the Brotherhood was last seen. This kind of leaves the question, how do they get out? Yugo has only ever opened a portal to another dimension when he had the 6 Eliotrope Dophis, and Adamai and Qilby only managed to do it with the Eliacube. We know for a fact that the Dophis are indestructible and were not destroyed when they were exploded, as Adamai is seen with them later in the trailer. Maybe the Eliacube and the Dophis reappear in Inglorium? It's not really clear right now. And as far as I can tell, the gods are nowhere to be seen in their personal dimensions, so they're probably not going to be the reason why the Brotherhood gets out. Though why they aren't present is another question for this coming season. However they end up getting out, a lot happens really fast after that. Yugo is somehow all grown up. We know not much time has passed, as Ava and Dali's newborn is still just a baby. And if it was the passage of time that caused him to grow up, that would probably mean that decades worth of time had passed. I mean, after living for 20 years, he still looks very similar to when he was 12 at the beginning of the series. Along with his sudden growth spurt, he is now leading the Eliotrope children that were once locked in the children's dimension. This also shows that the Eliacube was not destroyed, seeing as that is the only way to get to that dimension. How Oropo got it from that dimension in the first place, I have no idea. However, Yugo gets the Eliacube back, he probably uses it to free his people. Maybe when he goes to free the children, Adamai uses the Dophis to distract Qilby while Yugo gets everyone out. Perhaps going through the white dimension ages him somehow, or maybe he even gets trapped in there for a little bit. Qilby mentioned that it is a place where time has no meaning. And Qilby's appearance in the trailer was the same as when he had the Eliacube. We know he can't look like that without it, as when Yugo took it back, he reverted into his old form. If Qilby really does take the Eliacube, he could cause Yugo to get lost when he fights Adamai. Seeing as time doesn't really matter there, the short time he spends lost could have actually been decades from his point of view, causing him to age. That could also explain why he seems so numb and uncaring when he's seen in the trailer. Being trapped there drove Qilby insane, so I can understand it doing the same thing or something similar to Yugo. After finally growing up, Yugo is apparently leading the Eliotropes in what looks like the Sudita Kingdom. Having Yugo rule from there hints that his relationship with Amalia might have progressed some. With the giant zap portals hanging in the sky, it almost looks like Yugo has completely taken over, or at least heavily integrated his culture into the area. Amalia's father was last seen on his deathbed. If he did end up dying, and if Amalia and Yugo got married, Amalia might have been able to claim the throne from her rash older brother Armand. Or maybe the king's last wish was for his daughter to take the throne and rule like her mother did. I guess Amalia and Armand could have split rulership over the throne, but I don't know. The Iliotropes almost look like clones of Yugo, but looking closely at their clothes, they have the same varying styles that the children did in Season 2. The only difference now is that they changed colors. I also doubt Yugo would purposely make more clones of himself after seeing what happened to Oropo. Now to the new enemy of the season. This flying red cube is seen appearing in different places in the trailer. It almost resembles the portal that Ennivar created when he copied Yugo's powers. It is more mechanical and is, of course, shaped like a diamond. It's never shown attacking, but we can see the fallout from Dali's encounter with it. The entire landscape is just destroyed. Ankama mentioned that the season will resolve what it's been building since the very first season. That doesn't give a lot to work with, since not a lot has been hinted at besides Oropo secretly working in the background. One thing that does come to mind is the destruction that forced the Eliotropes to leave their planet. When Qilby was released from his prison, he tells the Brotherhood about the history of the Eliotrope people and how they disappeared. The red machine-like species, the Mechasms, leaves the same destructions on the Eliotrope homeworld as it does in the trailer. It also bears the same machine-like vibe that the cube portal thing gives. Most of the dragons and Eliotrope siblings died off fighting the Mechasm's youngest member, Organax. If he had just gone as a scout, he could have been killed before he was able to tell the rest of his kind where the Eliotropes had fled to. 1,000 years is definitely more than enough time for the Mechasms to find their prey and take revenge, or whatever they plan to do in the first place. If it is the Mechasms, then the Brotherhood has their hands full. Both Yugo and Adamai died protecting the World of the 12 from Organax. That was back when they were both fully grown, which I guess they aren't now, but they also had training from the rest of their species. This time they grew up pretty much without anyone to teach them how to fully use their power. Plus, there was only one Mechasm who was very young apparently last time. When the entire fleet came, it decimated a planet. If it is the full force of the Mechasms, then we are in for one heck of a firefight. The Brotherhood might have the help of the demigods in this fight. Plus, Qilby and Grugel should be old enough to fight at least a little now. I really loved seeing Qilby and Grugel at home as they were insanely adorable, especially when Qilby just sat there casually eating a slab of raw meat. I mean, why? Just why? But anyway, they are older than Ellalie and Flippon after all, which leaves them at least 8 years old. I'm not really sure how much time passed between the fight with Ogress and Ava and Flippon's kidnapping. Speaking of our favorite young twins, Ellalie and Flippon have some awesome new armor. Without much information about the new season, the best I can tell is that they might have found the pair of armor in Glorium. If the gods are still there, but just not seen at the end of Season 3, they might have gifted it to them, seeing as the twins are demigods after all. While those two are off bashing falling rubble from the sky, the youngest Sadlegrove is having fun playing with his insane powers. Since we don't know his name yet, I'm just gonna call him Mini Dally. After just being born, Mini Dally takes it upon himself to start walking, fighting, and using really strong magic. And what does this little baby do? Build himself a frickin' warhammer out of rocks. But, I mean, what can you expect? He's the son of the former Yop god, and Yop Brains Sir Percival of Sadlegrove. That kid never had a chance at a peaceful life. While his child is terrifying poor Evangeline, Dally goes and confronts the Red Cube. Dally has gone after villains before by himself, especially when it's threatening his family. But with a threat this big, it's a little strange to see him without the Brotherhood of the Tofu to back him up. There have been some thoughts that Yugo might be absorbing all of the energy of the Eliotrope children so he can beat this enemy. The children are seen laying on the ground, fading away like Thanos just snapped to Wakfu's catchy theme song. If they were just clones of him, I can see him absorbing them a little more if they were his subjects. I highly doubt that Yugo would just sit by and let all the Eliotropes die just so he could be able to fight better. That's why I think the Mechasms, or the Red Cube, blew up the forest, killing everyone in it but Yugo. The area is barren and like the lush and green forest seen earlier. The throne Yugo had been sitting on at the start of the trailer is mostly destroyed, along with the rest of the throne room and palace. Oropo mentioned that whenever an Eliotrope dies, their life energy is absorbed into the others, so it does make sense. Perhaps Dally was buying time for Yugo to power up. That still doesn't explain where everyone else is, though. Adamai is nowhere to be seen. I know Ava has to take care of her children, but I mean, come on, they're demigods. They can still help out at least a little. Ruel is the only one I think I've seen once or twice in the trailer with his wife, Harpagon. I'm about 90% sure that Ruel is also a demigod, so the cheapskate should be able to help out. Yeah, Ruel might be a demigod. Oropo offered to make him a god, which we know he only offered to demigods in the first place. Also, Ruel has been alive for like, ever. Grugel saw him as the most powerful of the group when he first met them, and he was able to bring down an entire cave with just the touch of his shovel. We've never seen his parents, but somehow his grandmother. Maybe her still being alive when her grandson is old enough to have great-grandkids means that immortal blood runs in the family. Back to the main explosion or whatever happens to maybe kill the Eliotropes. We see Amalia crying out while the forest just burns around her. Being a Sedita, it might just be because she can feel the tree's pain, but maybe she's crying because it's her home forest that's being destroyed, which also supports the theory that Yugo is in the Sedita Kingdom. And finally, at the end of the trailer, we see Yugo heading to fight the Red Cube with some awesome new powers. If he did absorb the Eliotropes' children's energy, that could explain where his new form came from. Or maybe he just unlocked it when he grew up. The purple energy sword he holds is a little suspicious though. Yugo has only ever been able to make portals or weapons with blue Wakfu. Maybe it's just different for the looks for the show, but I think something else might be happening. I also want to mention that some people think that instead of Yugo being grown up, it's really Oropo, which I very strongly disagree. He was seen being caught in the explosion when the Iliotropes and Dofus went off, killing him, Echo, and Count Herberg, who was frozen in the basement of the tower. Oops. Even if he did somehow survive that, he was already dying, saying that he only had moments left to live as his energy would become unstable. He knew that he wouldn't live to see the gods be replaced by the Siblings Guild. He wanted to do it to make the world a better place and to get revenge at Yugo for playing God in the first place. Also, Ankama clearly states in the description of Season 4's trailer, "Come watch Yugo grow up," meaning that he grows up, not be replaced by his evil and misguided clone. Unfortunately, there's no official date of when the next season will be coming. They were only just able to start working on it after the Kickstarter. Answering questions on its release, they said that it would take several years of hard work. Hopefully they mean just around 2-ish years, seeing as that's more than one and equaling several, based on your idea of the word several. Plus, I don't think I can wait that long to see what happens. Them not working on it yet also means that nothing in the trailer is technically official yet. It was created to show people what they had planned so they could get support and pay for it. Also, they don't have a distributor yet, so it might not be on Netflix. Crossing my fingers though. On the bright side, they raised enough money for a full 13-episode season with 2 extra episodes. One a backstory of Oropo, and the other a secret surprise. Make a comment below if you have any theories of what the surprise episode could be. I hope it has something to do with Malia finally being a thing and that they get married or something. And personally, I really hope that they have some kind of resolution with the Adamai and Yugo conflict. Those Freros have some serious issues to work out. Anyway, comment if you have a theory that I didn't think of. Thanks for watching, guys. This is Emination. Au revoir, mes amis. Pour le confrère de l'Emitofo. I really hope I said that right.